Episode 1. We're into it now. Got Justin Shafer from Charm City Autographs here. If you haven't checked out his Facebook page or Twitter, go and check it out because you're probably sitting at home with nothing to do anyway. Because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I've been kind of busy on Twitter though, spending money, so I need to get back to work soon.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably a good way to lead into this first topic of the coronavirus and how it's affecting the autograph world. And with you living in Arizona down there, I know it's kind of put a halt to the way you do things here around this time of year.
Yeah, it feels like it's been so long ago since I've seen baseball. I think it's been maybe a week, 8 days, 9 days, but it feels like it's been a month without baseball. Uh, at the beginning though, it really didn't affect spring training that much, the signing habits of the players. I know that there were some teams that weren't signing as much as
Mm-hmm.
normal, and some teams just canceled it altogether. Like I know the San Francisco Giants, I think
Yeah.
even did it where they actually put signs out saying that the players wouldn't be signing autographs and they would distribute pre-signed
Yeah.
balls and stuff like that. But I mean, I know personally how hard it is to get autographs at Giants camp, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that there wasn't that many autographs handed out. But the the biggest thing, I mean, for me being out here in Arizona, is that spring training got canceled completely. That's
Yep.
pretty unheard of. And then also the World Baseball Classic qualifiers, which I think MLB Network is showing tons of replays now. Those qualifiers were going to be down in Tucson. Those got canceled, and the I forget the name of the tournament. It's like the Tournament of the Americas, the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
qualifying tournament for the Olympics. Those games were going to be held up in, they call it the Phoenix area, but
Mm-hmm.
basically it's like Surprise, Arizona, and Tempe, Arizona. So those also got canceled. Uh,
Yeah.
Hopefully
It
they
just
can
wiped
reschedule.
everything out across the board.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, usually Arizona is a hotbed for baseball, and it wiped it out completely here. So
Yeah.
it,
I know. When all this first started going down, and I think it was just like I guess maybe like 3 weeks to a month ago when all this kind of started transcending. I didn't really think it was going to affect it the way that it did. I didn't think, I thought maybe they might would kind of do the thing where you were just talking about, where like, hey, we'll hand some items out that the players pre-sign, but I didn't think it was going to just like cut it out completely. And I mean, I was surprised by it, really.
yeah, yeah. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen either because I thought maybe what they would do is, so the way spring training works, they'll open up the gates to the backfields or to the complex where the teams practice. They'll usually open those up around 9 a.m. And that's where you get the most access to the players. It's like, depending on the teams, you're face to face with these players. The only thing separating you is a little yellow nylon rope. So I figured maybe they would close down practice to the fans,
Yeah.
but still have the games. Because I mean that's my favorite thing about spring training is the access that you can get to the players. Uh, it's really weird because the players are totally different towards you during spring training. Uh, Even the guys that look like the biggest d bags on TV are cool during spring training for some reason. Uh,
Yeah. I, and that's what I've always heard because I mean, obviously, I'm here in North Carolina. I've never been out there for spring training, but just 10 years ago when I started, that was just what everybody said. They're like, if there like is a one person you want to send to, do it the send it during spring training because that's your
yeah,
best time because that seems to be when they're all in, I guess, like the best moods and they haven't
yeah.
already been, yeah, they haven't
They
already played like
actually
85 games.
they don't have a lot of free time, but a lot of that time is spent at the complex. So you may, like, say you send it to the stadium, the guys
Hmm.
may only be there, not including the game time, but maybe 4 hours, and then another 3 hours on top of that for the game. But
Yeah.
guys that get to spring camp at like 5 in the morning, and they're not leaving till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So I mean, there's a
That's
lot of
crazy.
time for them. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, they're taking care. It's the way the complexes are inside is just the way it's set up is awesome. I mean, catered meals. They have everything that they need. They'll have their gym, all the places that they can do like Rapsodo training and plyo balls, stuff like that. They have those
Hmm.
areas now. All that's super huge with pitchers, so they'll have that. They have indoor batting cages. You can either do soft toss, hit off a tee, set up a pitching machine yourself. So I mean, there's really no reason for them to go home but to sleep, you know. And most of the guys that don't make Arizona their home full time. They're either in a hotel or renting out a house, like on Airbnb for the 2 months. So,
Yeah, and that was also I guess like another thing it just like I thought of with all this whole coronavirus and everything else, like are those I wonder if like those players that don't live in like Arizona, if they're, still hanging out there and, just hanging out, or if they actually went back home for a bit, or if they're just waiting for the word to come back. Because I know I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the actual season got postponed, didn't it?
as far as MIB or minor league baseball or major league baseball,
Major League.
I know major league is. I think that they're hoping to get it started in like what month is this? March, like
Hmm.
June time frame. Because from what I've seen, they still need to do spring training. They're going to need like another week, at least a week to 2 weeks of just practicing again, and then playing some games before they start the season. But I know that some teams they were closing down the complexes to the fans, media, but they were letting the players come work out if they wanted to. But then I think MLB squashed that and changed it to where, okay, everything shut down. You guys got to go back home. But then I know there's some minor leaguers. Some of the teams that are minor leaguers, they've kept them in the team hotels or the dorms because
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, one of the things that a lot of the teams are starting to do out here, uh, I know the Cleveland Indians and the Cincinnati Reds, they've actually built dorms for all their minor leaguers. Uh, and the Rangers, they were building it last year. I didn't have a chance to go to their complex this year before spring training got shot down, but they
Mm.
were building that last year. So I would think that it would be done by now. Basically, it just looks like college dormitories, and then I
Kind of the
don't
same
know.
concept.
Yeah, yeah, and then that just gets used during spring training and then extended spring training, and I'm sure they would use it for any guys that get injured and they want to come out here and rehab. They'll just put them up in the dorms. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense though. That
Yeah.
because that was just something I wondered. It's like, are those players still hanging out there, or do they fly back home because they know they've got time before they really do need to come back?
Yeah, the teams actually flew them back home. They paid for that. I actually do. I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter, but there's a page called "Adopt a Minor League Baseball Player," and
No, I haven't.
yeah, yeah. So I adopted a Seattle Mariner, and
That's freaking awesome.
yeah, yeah. So you send them like care packages throughout the season, and like gift cards and stuff to help them out because minor leaguers, they make below minimum wage. But I was talking to him, and he said the Mariners were making all their minor leaguers go home, and they were paying for their flights and uh, transportation. They had a shuttle, to the airport, and then yeah, they did that. But I
Yeah,
mean, it's
I
for
yeah
if there's a minor leaguer, a team like you being a Rangers fan, you can actually adopt a minor leaguer and help them out, and you never know. One day they may make it to the show and pay it forward.
yeah. Me and Leo, these could have been friends, and I missed out on that one, I guess.
Oh yeah, Tavares.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I watched him play against the Grasshoppers 3 years ago. They did a day game because it was the day of the solar eclipse. I think it
Oh,
was like 3 years ago. And so they did a day game, and I actually took off work and went and watched the Crawdads play the Grasshoppers during the solar eclipse.
nice. I think he's
Yeah,
finally. I think he may have reached Double A last year. He's been moving really slow. I know he's not as big as a prospect as he used to be on the Rangers radar.
yeah. I have a guy that I met in one of the groups on Facebook, and he lives just a couple of miles from the Frisco Rough Riders, the Rangers Double A team.
Oh, okay,
And the
yeah,
last,
I like that logo.
yeah, in the last 3 years, he's got me a team signed ball, and it's like got Calhoun on it and stuff like that. And he's like, man, he's like, I'm waiting for Tavares to get up here to Double A. And then I think it was like closer towards the end of last year when he got called up to Double A, and he was sending me pictures that he had got and stuff like that. And then by the time me and him linked up to try to get Tavares on a solo, like just on a solo item, not like a team signed item, it was already like the end of the season, and I wouldn't have got the ball out there in time. But
I think I have some extra signed cards of him. I'll have to send him for the giveaway that we're going to do.
that would be awesome. I'll give them away to myself. That works.
There we go. I'm gonna try to find a card of like I said, all 30 MLB teams.
That's crazy. And I guess while we're on the topic of these minor league teams, that would be a good time to bring up the axing of certain
Yes.
minor league teams.
Yeah.
And
Contraction, or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, and I mean, obviously, the coronavirus has already taken out, spring training and, possibly a portion of the season, possibly.
Yeah.
But now you're looking at just getting rid of teams altogether. And I mean, obviously, you know, that's going to affect the, autograph world as well. And especially like somewhere right here where I live, where you have the Burlington Royals and the Grasshoppers within a 30-minute area, and then anything else you have to drive like an hour and a half to 2 hours to see. So
Yeah. Well, I honestly, if you would have asked me a week ago, uh, I would have thought that yeah, this is definitely happening. They're going to get rid of these 42 teams, but with everything that's happened with the coronavirus and people making a stink about minor leaguers not getting paid, especially with the minor leaguers that got sent home, when I'm talking about all of MILB, uh, people were raising a stink that, hey, these guys haven't gotten paid and they weren't going to get paid until the minor league season started. So now with that being pushed back, that's another month or two that these guys weren't going to get paid. So now the parent organizations of these minor leaguers, they're actually getting paid more now. Like I think the Yankees have said, okay, we're paying our guys X amount a month, which was higher than what they would normally make for their game checks and stuff. So it with teams now actually starting to pay these guys more than what they were making in the lower levels, I think it's going to be hard to get rid of the teams because now we actually have proof that yeah, the parent clubs can actually afford to pay these dudes a livable wage. and I think it'll be really tough for the commissioner to try and push his agenda that getting rid of these teams will make it easier for the remaining guys to earn a livable wage and increase the quality of baseball. But I I I don't know what's going to happen. Personally, I don't like Rob Manfred. I think he hates baseball, and I don't agree with really any of the changes that he's made to Major League Baseball. Personally,
Yeah, and I was I was very I've been for the longest time I've been very on the fence about Rob Manfred, and everything evolves, every living thing evolves, including sports and the NBA and the college basketball. They've moved the 3 point line back twice in the last few years, I think.
mm-hmm.
And so I've tried to keep that in mind that everything evolves and everything, but this whole thing with the Astros has just really killed it for me and Rob Manfred, and I'm like, I just can't anymore. I just it just is such compared to what's going like decisions that have been made in the past about certain things versus the decision on this is just I think it's absurd. I do, but
And people have forgotten that the Red Sox ruling still hasn't come down yet.
exactly,
Exactly,
exactly.
the investigation on the Red Sox. So I don't know.
Yeah, and along the lines of what you said about Rob Manfred hating baseball, it's like I mean, how do you even like come to the idea? It's like, all right, here's all these minor league teams that we need to get rid of for the benefit of baseball.
Yeah, the I don't know. I honestly don't know what he's thinking. Maybe they kind of. I don't know. It just seems like I'm in the military, and so one of the things that's really popular in the military is group punishment. So maybe that's it. Where okay, you want me to raise the wages of these minor leaguers? Well, all right, I'm firing 300 of them. You know, so you kind of punish everybody to give the remaining people a raise. But I don't know. I
Yeah,
just don't like it because I mean I grew up on minor league baseball. I'm originally from Hagerstown, Maryland, and I've been fortunate enough to have minor league baseball my entire life. I'm 38, and we've had uh, the team's called the Hagerstown Suns. Haven't had a rebrand. Wish they would. Haven't changed the name. But yeah, for 38 years I've had them. They've gone from double A down to high A, advanced A ball, and now we're low A in the South Atlantic League. But I mean, we've still had it, and yeah, I mean that was really my first baseball game that I ever went to was a Hagerstown Suns game, because a lot of people. Uh, the closest major league team would have been Baltimore, the
mm-hmm.
Orioles. But even back in the 80s, it was still kind of expensive. Drive to Baltimore, pay for parking, get tickets, and then, I mean, I'm still kind of lucky that a major league team was only an hour away. But
Yep.
say somebody like you in North Carolina, where's your closest major league team? The Braves?
Yeah, you're looking at 5.5, 6 hour
Yeah.
drive.
So I mean, you would have Burlington there, and
Mm-hmm.
I I don't think he I don't think he cares about the small towns because I mean, honestly, in these lower levels like the Appalachian League and
Mm-hmm.
the South Atlantic League, where the I don't even know if you could call some of these places that the teams play in cities. I mean, I guess where I live, Hagerstown is considered a city, but I mean it's kind of like a small town, and I'm sure
Yeah,
Burlington's probably a small town.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And I think this was like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it is. Alamance County had around 50,000 residents, and on any given night, let's exclude Thirsty Thursdays, you could go to a Burlington Royals game, and I mean, you could like get up and like dance around, and there would be like nobody around you except for on Thirsty Thursdays. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and I mean that's like you were saying though, the Royals. I mean, they were the Indians up until I think it was like '99 or 2000, somewhere around in there, and then they became the Royals, and it's it's just always been there, like you were saying. It's just a minor league team has always been there, and I mean it's 15 minutes from me now, so I mean,
yeah.
and they had back in like 2012, I think it was. Bubba Starlin went through there,
Hmm.
and Terrence Gore came through there. Nicky Lopez, who's I
Yeah,
think man,
like,
yeah, Nicky Legs, yep. And then a couple years ago, a year or two ago, it was Sauli Matias. He
yeah,
came through there. Yeah, and so I mean, without Burlington being there, the chance to get those autographs and stuff like that. I mean, I'd had the next spot would be probably 30 minutes, 35 minutes away, in the Greensboro Grasshoppers, the Pirates single A affiliate. So, and Burlington is one of the teams that's they're looking to get the boot on, and
yeah. It's just I hate it for the small towns and like how you were saying all these big name prospects. I mean, they're not all going to make it, but it's still cool to be able to say I seen this dude play when he was drafted out of high school or whatever when he was super young. Because I think I told you before, like in my hometown, Willie Mays actually played there back
yeah,
in the day, and all the people that have come through my hometown, all the Ripkins, Cal, Billy, and Cal Senior, they've all been there. I can't remember if Cal Junior played there, but his son
mm-hmm.
Ryan Ripken played there, and he would go watch his son. So yeah, for about one or two games before all the autograph hounds ruined that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it would destroy any of these towns, but I think it would definitely take a lot of them a long time to recover from.
And another aspect, I was thinking about it because the other night when we tried this whole thing and failed because my
Yeah.
laptop's a piece of crap. Um, I was thinking too that I'm pretty sure every minor league team does this. Maybe not everyone, but 99% of them, where they'll have a local rec league like kids baseball team like run out onto the field with the
Yeah,
players,
yeah, yeah.
and like let's say like somebody like Bubba Starling, each game they'd have a kid run out there with them, and just think about the memory that kid has where one day they can be like, oh man, I ran out on to the field with Bubba Starling when he was in the minor league, and it's like that's just like another aspect of it that's so small, but yet they're taking that away too, potentially
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah. I mean, talk about little kids. When I was in Korea, my buddy got to go do it with his favorite Korean baseball team, and he's like 23 and he wouldn't shut the hell up for the rest of the year about it. So, you can only imagine how exciting it is for a little kid, you know. But
Yeah, and I mean, who's to say like one of those kids, they might be playing baseball just because their parents like, we need to get you in an extracurricular activity, and then they're like, oh, I don't know about this, I don't know about this, and then they get to go to a minor league game, they get to like run out onto the field with a player and have that experience, and it just might push their life in a whole different direction.
mm-hmm.
Probably taking this way too far and a step too far, but I think it's just the little things that somebody like Rob Manfred's not thinking about at all.
Yeah, and the players, they become a part of the community.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the truth. Because and kind of along the lines you were saying earlier about spring training being the best time to get a player, I imagine that it's a lot easier to get a player at the rookie league level than it is at the AAA level.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, even it honestly all depends. If they're a high draft pick, it can be really tough, especially in Hagerstown, where I'm from. Because with us being low A, that's usually the first step in full season baseball. Because you'll have Burlington's what, the Appalachian League.
Yeah, the Appalachian League. Yep.
Yeah, so you'll have the Appy League and then the New York Penn League. That's the short season league where it's what, 2 3 months long. So you don't have a lot of you don't have a lot of time to get the player, and B, that's usually when the players' photos are being taken for Bowman draft coming out that year, when they do the horrible job of airbrushing the parent uniforms
Yeah.
onto the players. So honestly, unless you buy you either get a baseball, which I used to do that, but then I stopped because that's basically just asking the guy to sign a $20 bill, and then it's either going to be worth $20 or nothing, you know.
Yep.
Or you wait for the top prospect set to come out. But then, I mean, with the schedule being so short, some of those guys, they may come there at the beginning of the season, but then they don't come back at the end of the year when the top prospect set's released. So usually, low A is uh, it's when the first round draft picks are going to have their first cards out, the most amount of cards.
Hmm.
Uh, then and it can be tough uh, because you'll Hagerstown is small enough of a town that you see the same people every day. Everybody knows their name, but then all these other guys show up, and you're like, "Who the hell is this guy? This is our territory." But if somebody big is coming through town, then there's a ton of people there, and it makes it really, really difficult. And like when you get those outsiders that show up with their, full pages full of cards, that they'll ruin it. They'll ruin that
Hmm.
guy for the rest of the homestand, and it'll make it tough for the other people. But one of the good things, one of the ways that I can sidestep that is being out here in Arizona. Uh, when the draft picks sign, they'll usually be in the Arizona Rookie League.
Hmm.
We
Yep.
we have what they call a complex league. All the spring training complexes play each other, uh, and usually their high draft picks will come out here. Usually, the shortest amount of time I've seen somebody spend out here was a week, and that was last year with Andrew Vaughn, the Chicago White Sox first round draft pick. Uh, Hell, I think he maybe, if you include the time that it took for the physical, he was here a week, played in like 3 or 4 games, and I don't know, just put up like crazy softball numbers. I want to, I want to say he made it up to high A last year with Winston Salem. But one of the good things, like say guys like that, he played for Team USA. So
Hmm.
Panini makes the Team USA cards, and then you also have the Leaf, I think. I don't know if they still make them, but it's the perfect game cards,
Yeah.
the high school showcase. So there was a few guys last year that I was able to get in Arizona on those cards. And then you get the rare guy, like say Marco Luciano for the San Francisco Giants. They signed him when he was 16. He already had baseball cards as a 17-year-old, and I want to say he last year was his first full professional season in the states in the rookie league. But since he had already been signed 2 years earlier, he already had cards from Panini and Bowman. So I was able to get him before the other people ruined him. But generally, the younger they are, the easier they are to get before they get burned out on signing.
that yeah, and that's I guess kind of along the lines of what I was getting at a second ago, and I've heard. that the perfect example of that is like Ronald Acuna
Yeah,
is
yeah,
been like I think I want to say he played with Danville in rookie league. I want to say he did, and then
yeah. Most likely.
from there to Double A, he was pretty good, and you could get him. But I heard, and again, these are people I've seen on Facebook, and some people they're very serious about their collecting. But I've seen a lot of people say that once he got AAA, he wouldn't even like look at you. He wouldn't even give you the time of day.
The only time I seen him was in the Arizona Fall League, and that's become such a huge cluster uh, now that I don't go as much as I want to. But he was on the same team in the Arizona Fall League as Victor Robles from the Nationals,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a hyped prospect at the time. I think now Juan Soto's kind of overtaken him in popularity, but I mean everybody wanted those two dudes, and
Yeah.
he was just so hard to get. I've never gotten Acuna in person. Now I got lucky. Took my kids to one of the card stores up here in Phoenix and bought a pack of the Donruss Elite Extra Edition. I think it's made by Panini, but they bought the rights to Donruss, and he actually pulled an Acuna autograph relic. So that's my only autograph out of him because now I can't afford them. But
Yeah. Was
yeah,
it a number?
his
Was it a
autograph
numbered
isn't
card?
nice either. If you've seen his autograph, it's horrible, and he doesn't spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, now that he's a superstar, I mean, it's just insane what they charge for his autograph and they get for. I mean, because if not, then they wouldn't still be charging those prices.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I get excited like anytime I'm getting autographs from a guy that lives near Double A. He with him helping me out the last couple of years, he'll send me a picture because sometimes he'll fill the ball up in one game, and sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5 games.
Yeah.
And uh, I was pretty disappointed in Willie Calhoun's autograph, but
Oh yeah, yeah. It's if you looked at it, you wouldn't think that that dude's name was Willie Calhoun.
not
Uh,
even close.
because so I was able to get him during minor league spring training. A lot of people don't realize that there is a minor league spring training because the minor league season starts after the MLB season,
Mm-hmm.
but these dudes still need to practice as well. So I got him. I think he would do two cards, and he just gave me horrible autographs. I was like, "What the hell is this?" So then the next year, he's in the Rangers camp, their big league camp for a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. He was in the camp a little bit longer, like he wasn't one of the first or second round of cuts. And so I got him again, and it was the exact same autograph. So I mean, I really couldn't be pissed off anymore because he's giving me the same thing. It wasn't like I caught him on
Yeah,
a bad day and he just threw something on a card to get me away from him. But yeah, it's kind of like an in almost. Like it
yeah,
it's
it's
bad.
something weird.
Yeah.
And
Our next video, I'll have to go through my cards and just show some of the horrible autographs, or maybe I'll put it on the Charm City Graphs Twitter and
yeah,
Facebook page. Horrible autographs. That's something we can do and tag each other in it.
I love it. Yeah, because I got quite a few I could show off. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, yeah. If they weren't on a baseball card, I wouldn't know who the hell it was.
Yep, yep. And I mean that just goes. I mean, even for the horrible autographs with these minor league teams being here, I'm still gonna collect them and I'm still gonna hold on to them. And without the minor league, these minor league teams being there, there's just not even that option. And I'd like to have the option
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah,
because for Barrington, it's always been very, very few and far between when they get like a first rounder or even really a second rounder. Because
yeah.
I think the only one I can think of, the two first rounders I can think of off the top of my head were Ash Russell and Bubba Starling.
Yeah.
And 99% of the other time, it's just all like, I'm not even talking about like second and third rounders. I'm talking about mostly like fourth and fifth rounders and stuff like that. And I, I mean, obviously, this isn't a choice that me or the city could make, but I feel like if they got a couple more like first or second rounders around here in Burlington, that the attendance would definitely rise, and that would put more money in the organization's pocket, more money in the city's pocket, and I'm sure they would think
Yeah.
differently about you know taking the team away, but that's all front office decisions.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that depends on how they feel about where the player is developed, where he's at in his stage of development, and really if there's anybody that's blocking him that position, because a lot of times, like we can take the Royals for example. What was it? I want to say last year, Chase Vallet.
Mm-hmm.
He was a catcher. I think they were trying him out at first, but then there was another first baseman in the organization that kind of leapfrogged him, Nick Prado, and then
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so you can't have these two guys on the same team that play the same position because then they're going to fight for at bats. So they decided to send Vallet. I want to say he repeated low A, so that would be Lexington
Mm-hmm.
Legends. While Prado was up in Wilmington for the Blue Rocks in high A. So I mean, really, it all depends on the development. And then I know one of the big draws for Hagerstown was always somebody that's rehabbing. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if guys would actually rehab in Burlington, uh, just because the level is so low, and it's really not close to the parent club.
Yeah.
Um,
I
you know,
don't. I don't think anyone's ever.
yeah, because I mean they have Round Rock right there. It's still in Texas. I mean I know Texas is huge, but you have Round Rock there, and then they just changed their AAA affiliate, so that's Nashville. But yeah, I mean they would probably just try to keep the dude in Double A for rehab, or just have
Mhm.
him in Arizona.
Yeah, I
So
know they. I know the. I don't know exactly how the Royals does it, but I know the Rangers when they send somebody to rehab, a lot of them go to Frisco. A
yeah,
lot of them go to Frisco because there was, I believe it was last year, the year before. Um, Odor got sent down for like 3 games, I think it was, which is a pretty extended stay
yeah, yeah, yeah,
for a rehab assignment. And I messaged that guy. I was like, "Is there any chance?" He was like, "Man," he's like, "There's so many people trying to get him," and he was like, "He's not signing for anybody."
yeah, yeah. He's tough in spring training. He's pretty tough. I've got
And
once. Yeah, once in spring training. Now, when he was with Myrtle Beach back in the day, he wasn't bad, but I mean, he didn't have a lot of cards then either.
yeah,
But yeah, since spring training, yeah, I've only been able to get him once. And he only does one per.
and when Rognan Odor when he retires, he can make a living. He can make a nice solid living off signing that picture of him punching
But
Jose Bautista. Right?
he won't
He
sign.
won't do. That's
Yeah,
what. Yeah, if he retires and he needs some money, he can just say, "I'll start signing this picture for X amount of dollars," and I
yeah,
mean,
maybe.
we set.
If you know, if the World Baseball or not the World Baseball Classic, but the qualifiers for the Olympics, if that ever happens, Jose Bautista was coming out of retirement. He wanted to pitch. I guess the dude has a knuckleball or something. So maybe if I could get that photo signed by Jose, show it to Rogie, be like, look, Jose already signed it. So you want to help me out?
Yeah, I mean, you might as well too,
Yeah,
because
right.
I'd love to have that picture signed, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah, yeah, that
But
can be memorabilia we want.
yep, that's another episode.
Yeah,
I think I've got 14 topics written down.
there we go.
But it would just, especially, I don't know what like North Carolina specifically has against like signings or whatever.
Mm.
Because I mean, at any given time, there's none around here, so like I heavily rely on like the minor league teams being close. Because with that, I mean, if I wanted to drive an hour and a half down the road to the Hickory Crawdads and get like Leotis Tavares or Hans Kraus or something like that, I could do it. Which I don't. I haven't looked, but I don't think the Hickory Crawdads are on that list. But you
Yeah.
know, just
But the thing is,
having
you're not even guaranteed. You could drive 3 hour round trip and get shut out.
yeah, yeah, that's entirely true. And
I mean, for my parents when they, since I obviously don't live in Hagerstown anymore, my parents go to Suns games and they get autographs. But it's like a 20-minute drive from where they live. Even then, if there's a team that comes in and they only have like 3 or 4 cards, they won't even make a 20-minute drive, let alone an hour and a half for 3 or 4 cards. So it's definitely, I mean, as far as my family's concerned, we'll definitely not go to as many games as we would. So, I mean, I guess somebody else is going to get our money, movie theaters or something. But the crazy thing is, if you look at how popular minor league baseball is, I don't think people understand how popular it is. I think 4 out of the last 5 years or something, they've broken their season attendance record. Like, and I'm sure that the data is out there somewhere, but I'm sure there's a lot of minor league baseball teams that have actually outdrawn the Miami Marlins the past few years. Like, so the Marlins play 81 home games, and then minor league baseball, I think you play 72 home games. I still think that there's teams that have outdrawn them, especially in AAA. So,
and
I mean,
yeah, and even Burlington the last couple of years, they even as I guess as like a low attendance as they have the last
yeah.
2 years, I think they've broken like previous attendance records. So when you look at that, I mean, they're obviously going in the right direction. They're obviously doing something right.
Yeah. And one of the things that it kind of makes me nervous is that the teams that are on the list, like they're going to kind of stop caring, where they think, okay, we're going to get axed anyway, so let's not make that improvement that we were going to the stadium or for the game experience. Like, why waste all this money for 1 year? Because I think it's supposed to take part in what, 2021? Maybe with
Yeah.
the virus, it's going to push it back to 2022. So hopefully teams, and I know that there's like mayors and governors. Hell, I think even Bernie Sanders has made commercials or webcasts or webisodes that he wants minor league baseball saved. So hopefully they just don't rely on those types of people to help save their franchise, and hopefully they invest some of the money that they do have in the overall experience, the game day experience for the fans. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the kind of things I was surprised about with Burlington being on the list because before the start of last season, they had completely renovated the ballpark. And before the ballpark very much had like you were at like a rec league baseball game or like a co-ed softball game or something like that. Like
yeah,
their souvenir stand was like in a pull behind trailer that the windows open or whatever, and
yeah,
I had it hanging. And then this year they really built a whole lot of stuff on the concourse, and they really made it have that baseball stadium feel to it, where you could go in the gift shop and it was air conditioned, and you actually had like a cash register, and like the shirts weren't just like folded up behind you, and either they were hanging up, they were on the mannequins, and they've got like The bathrooms are actually built really well too, and have a ballpark
That's
built
some
to
porta
it.
potty outside or something.
and and I I don't know if the word came down after they did all these renovations or before, but I mean, I just that's got to be kind of a gut wrenching feeling to know you just put all this money in this baseball stadium and you just made it that much better, and you only get two full seasons out of it
Yeah,
potentially.
yeah. Like they used to be called the Missoula Osprey up in Montana. They rebranded this year as the Paddleheads, and it's a totally awesome logo. Like I dig it. It's like a moose on an inner tube and like a lazy river fly fishing. And so these rebrands usually it takes a year or two, where depending on the company that you get to do it, uh, they'll get a feel for the town and what you're all about before they just throw a name out there. But just think about all that money that they've spent on merchandise and the advertising and the rebrand, and then you're going to get rid of that team. It just stinks. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, after you dump all this money into rebranding and like new stadiums and all that, and then it gets shut down, it's like, what do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that spot? Do you just give it to the city and let it become like a rec league softball, or it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do with it now?
Yeah, I should have looked at the list to see how many of those teams had just built a new stadium within the past couple years, or if they have one on deck. Because I know that I think there was like 4 or 5 teams that just finished their stadiums this year, and then one more, no, 2 more in work. I know Wichita, the Wind Surge. I hate that name. Uh, they actually got kind of snippy with me on Twitter because I would always badmouth them. But their stadium's still in work, and then the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Love that name. Uh,
That's
their
pretty
sta-
epic.
yeah, but I know for sure those 2 teams weren't on the list, so that's good at least.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we'll have to see how the mosquito nuts end up.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude, that stadium. I love that stadium though. It's yeah, the Modesto Nuts. It sucks you have to pay for parking, but that's like everywhere in California in the California League. Like paying for parking is like the most foreign thing to me because I would never carry cash, and they don't take debit card. So, but their stadium it is tiny and very compact, and the way that the home team's bullpen is, you basically walk up to a fence that comes up to your waist, and that separates you from their bullpen. And they built like a little deck that the players can set on, and they'll have lawn chairs there and set on those to watch the game, because if not, there's nowhere for the players to set and actually be able to watch the game without being in the field of play. That's how that's how tiny the stadium is. But
That's
it was
how.
great for getting autographs. Like I love those old time, uh, the old historical baseball stadiums because they kind of built them without worrying about the security of the players.
Mhm.
So it, you can get close to the players, it's just as long as somebody doesn't ruin it. But yeah, you can uh, like shoot the bull with the players while they're in the bullpen because I mean they're not doing anything, and you know you're that close to the players, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly how Burlington is set up. They've got to right where the actual physical base is on the first base and third base side. They have like a net that goes up so nobody gets hit by a foul ball or a bat. But once you get past there, you go on further down, and then that's where the bullpen is. It's literally in between the foul line and the fence, and the fence, like you're saying, is like waist high, and so
Hmm.
you can be 4 to 5 feet from this guys who throwing pitches warming up, and then that's also where the resting pitchers benches are too. so you can like stand up against that fence and potentially just like smack one of the resting pitchers on the back of the head. That's how close it is.
Yeah, you can give them a high five, man. Like be where the fence is to where they set. I mean, the space is only wide enough for one person to walk through. Like if there was two people coming, uh, somebody would have to back up for the other to get by. Or I mean, you're going to be rubbing up against something, and it's going to be kind of uncomfortable. So
Yeah, and while if they do have a pitcher warming up on the home or away side, they actually have a person standing pretty much on the foul line, like watching the game to make sure a foul ball or something doesn't come that way because the pitcher's got his back to it, and
yeah,
make sure a foul ball doesn't come that way and smack him in the back of the head or something.
yeah,
And my wife, she doesn't care about sports really. And one of the first games we went to, she was like, we were standing up against the fence watching the starting pitcher for the Royals warm up, and she was like, "You can really just stand this close to him?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "You can, probably play toss with one of them if if you call them at the right time." And she's like, "Why would they allow you to just stand that close to them?"
it's the way the field was made. You know, those old time stadiums. I love them.
Yep, and they're fantastic for getting autographs. Cause you just hand it over the fence and then they sign it and then keep going. And it's not like you have to like stick the ball up under a net and hand it to them or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I haven't had to deal with that too much yet. The protective netting. Because a lot of the stadiums that I've gone to, I mean, they didn't have it yet, and it wasn't that big of a deal. Hopefully, that well, I'm probably not even going to get to go to that many minor league games this year, depending on when the season starts. But next year, I definitely want to do a minor league baseball road trip, and I'll be able to do an episode about what stadiums have the worst nets.
Yeah, yeah. Which ones are easily autographable and which ones are
Yeah,
not
yeah,
autograph friendly.
yeah,
And along those lines of getting close to the players and easy access to those players, we can talk about advice for people wanting to get into the hobby that they may have thought about it before and just kind of haven't pulled the trigger on it or done any research on it, or they've been doing it for a little while but they want to expand what they do, as far as like the collecting of actual autographs.
yeah. So I mean, there's lots of people that aren't as fortunate as us that actually live somewhere close to where they can get autographs. You know, I mean, yeah, you have minor league baseball, but it's still baseball, and I'm one of the lucky people that actually have pretty much all year round baseball. But there's some folks that don't have that, so one of the great options is TTM or through the mail. Actually, writing the players if you pay for one of the subscription services on the interwebs for their home address, or buy one of the address books that lists their home addresses. You can send a self-addressed stamped envelope to their house. If you're active on Twitter, you'll see that some players aren't too happy about that, while others are.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have internet access, you can go on to pretty much every Major League Baseball team in the FAQ section. Under usually they'll list it by alphabetic order, and it'll have A for autographs, and they'll actually have the address of the stadium and how you need to address the letter to make sure it reaches that player. Uh, then there's other other websites that actually tell you when there's going to be a sports card show. Sometimes they have athletes show up, and then other times there's shows that are basically just for autographs, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have a few dealers set up. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much all the ways that I've gotten autographs. Uh, or well, back in the day, maybe even when you were younger, car dealerships used to be a really good place to get autographs. You know, they would open up a new car dealership. Hell, in my hometown, one time they had Brooks Robinson there. I mean, people outside of Maryland may not care, but he's him and Cal Ripken could be like president and vice president. They would probably win the state of Maryland in that election. That's how beloved they are. But
Brooks Robinson is good through the mail too. That's how I got him.
yeah, yeah, super nice guy. He's getting up there in age, and he still like signs a ton. And I mean, his autograph isn't as nice as it used to be, especially
Yeah, you can
with
tell
his
it's a little
name being
shaky.
as long as it is. Uh, he still signs good. I mean, one I just to get off topic. One TTM autograph I got was Sparky Anderson, the Big Red Machine manager of Detroit Tigers. He signed my card. He went Sparky, and then he started the Anderson, and it loops all the way up the card. Like it's in his autograph is in the shape of an L. But I mean, I think he died like a year, if that, later. But he was still signing through the mail, and I got it for free. Craziest looking autograph I've ever gotten. Well, probably not. That'll be the next video. But yeah, I love doing TTM autographs. It's because some
It's,
of these guys. Oh, go ahead.
it's a good way to keep yourself busy too, especially if you're
Mhm.
quarantined for the coronavirus. I don't.
Yeah,
I've I've seen in Facebook groups where people they are getting
yeah.
TTM
People are still
successes
getting
back.
responses back, and a lot of these folks they'll actually put the response time. Like me, I keep track of the date that I sent it and then the date that I received it because me, for a while there, I was sending out so many that I was losing track. Did I already rate this guy or not? Because there's some dudes I have like 40 or 50 different cards of, and they always say if you're going to do send something through the mail, send something that you don't mind not getting back. So if I
Yeah,
have 50 cards of like Scott Schoenweiss, I'm going to write you through the mail because A, you're probably not doing any signings. Not that he's not popular. I mean, I think he won a World Series, so. But like I have nothing to do with cards other than I want to get them signed and I want to get all of them signed. So, but not to get off topic. The turnaround times have been fast, like 14, 21 days. And that's when, all this information about how long does the coronavirus live on cardboard and paper, all that information is public knowledge now, and guys are still signing. So, I mean, that's a good sign.
yeah. Because it's if you were to like with no sporting events at all essentially, and if you take the TTM away aspect of it, that cuts it out 100% right there. I mean, just a hundred
Yeah.
percent right off the top. And I, I don't I don't think this will discourage people from wanting to start doing it or maybe ramping it up as opposed to what they were doing. But I can see how it's going to hold a lot of people back. And
I I could see it kind of having the opposite effect where it's not like me and you uh slowing down the TTM. I can see the players not doing it, because they could be afraid that, hey, maybe I'm going to get something now. Because I don't know if you've seen so the first athlete to test positive for coronavirus, Rudy Gobert, information came out that the week after that became public, he had given a kid his autograph, and then
yep,
that kid got sick. And then Rudy Gobert is like, no, this kid had it. He gave it to me. So then what maybe players are going to get this stuff in the mail and just chuck it. I I could kind of see maybe more current players that are more concerned about their career, but maybe not the retired guys as much. But,
Yeah, I can see that being the case too, as far as like just them not even opening it and just sticking it back in the mail, return to sender, the dreaded yellow label.
oh yeah, I got a sweet collection of those.
I've gotten 4 from Archie Manning.
Oh, really?
Yep.
We changed his.
And well, if you go sportscardforum.com is what I use because
Yeah,
it sets it up by tab, like NHL, baseball, basketball, and then you can click on that. And as soon as you click on the tab, it brings up recent successes
yeah,
of a player. And then, like you were just talking about, it also gives you the turnaround time. Like I sent it on January 1st, 2020, and I got it back January 27th, 2020. And then if there's a long list of people who have sent to them, it gives you the success rate too. So
yeah.
if 200 people have sent to them and 100 people have gotten it back, it gives you like a 50% success rate. So you can really look at that information and decide, it's like, I've only got this one card of this player and I really like this card, but they've got a 40% success rate. So do I really want to try that? And it's just, I think the sports card forum is the way to go and how it's gonna really affect. Because I mean the addresses are right there, and if
So, has it been? What were the success rates on the address that you sent to? I'm sure none of them were 100%, right?
yeah, the one I sent to for Archie, it was literally like it would be like 4 people with like success, and then like the next 2 would be return to senders, and then the next 3 would be successes, and then like the next one would be a return to sender. So I don't know if it's just an address he's not at all the time, and when he is there, he'll just go ahead and pull everything out and sign it. But I mean, I've got Peyton and Eli. I mean, I need Archie. You know
Nice.
what I'm saying?
So,
Yeah,
so that means anybody that is watching this, we need to have them DM you a successful Archie Manning address. So for a future episode, you can show off the family tree of Manning autographs.
yeah, and I mean, just along the lines of people who are just wanting to get into the hobby. I wrote Peyton Manning through his foundation, and obviously, everything going on with Eli. This was like 2 years ago when I got his at the Giant Stadium. But I wrote to Eli during the season to the Giant Stadium, and I got it back in like a month.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's crazy to get a return that fast, like during the active season,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
somebody like Eli Manning.
And that was a good thing that you brought up that I totally forgot about is so many players have foundations too. I can't believe I forgot about that because Nolan Ryan, I got a baseball sweet spot through his foundation, authenticated because he has his own little hologram on it. And I want to say I heard about it on Facebook, and it was like it was around the holidays, so it was $50. Nolan Ryan, sweet spot, authenticated baseball, $50, no brainer. Uh,
Yeah, because
but
I mean, you go on eBay and find something of Nolan Ryan, and it's like 150 plus
yeah,
usually.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, tons of athletes have foundations where if you're going to do TTM to their house, you cut a check out to their foundation, or you just go directly through the foundation. I know, like Clayton Kershaw, if you write to his foundation, usually you get like the index card. It's like a 4x6 photo that has the pre-printed autograph. But I want to say once or twice a year he does a signing through his charity. I mean, the prices are a little bit high,
Yeah,
but I mean it's for charity, so if you're one of those folks that can manipulate your taxes, you get a little bit of money, so you don't pay full price type thing. But
And
oh, go ahead.
along the foundation, and people wanting to get started is, I know Carl Erskine.
Yeah.
If you
Uh,
give him a donation for the Special Olympics, because if I'm not mistaken, his son has special needs, and he actually, when I wrote to him, he signed the ball. He signed the letter I sent him, and he wrote, to Houston, thank you very much for writing me. Thank you for your donation. And he wrote on the back of the check, so when the check was deposited and it cleared,
that
and you
autograph.
go to your account, there it is too. It was like, again, thank you so much, and he signed the back of the check. So it's just like, I mean, even though you don't have the autograph on the check, but it's just still just like super cool to know that somebody's contributing, to your hobby, and they're just as excited about it
Mhm.
as you are. And I mean, getting a phenomenal baseball player's autograph plus you're donating to, Special Olympics, it's really smart of the especially like the retired players to do that, because it's just like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Erskine, he's one of the guys that I actually wrote through the mail. I got him as well because once these guys start their successes get posted, then everybody writes them. Uh, but yeah, and then another good one is golf tournaments. Usually
Yeah.
some of the bigger golf tournaments. I mean, I'm not talking like Tahoe where you can jump off a boat and catch a pass from Aaron Rodgers, or Pebble Beach or anything like that. But even out here in Tucson, it's called like the Cologuard Classic or something. I think it's the PGA Senior Tour or something. But they still have a pro am. Larry the Cable Guy comes out here. John Smoltz, Trevor Hoffman. Uh, who else? I think Aaron Rodgers sometimes too. Personally, I've never gone, but people have told me that it's usually a pretty good event. And then I think up in Phoenix for the Waste Management Open, they'll have that's kind of a more higher profile PGA event because of the 16th.
Mhm.
That looks like a baseball stadium built around a par three hole. But guys like Michael Phelps and stuff will be there. So you go on like I would say a Thursday where, most people are still at work, kids are in school. So really
Yep.
the only people you're fighting with are the other autograph hounds and, die-hard golf fans. Because, I mean, who the hell is going to go to a golf tournament on a Thursday?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And uh, I want to say there's one. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say there's one golfing event, and I want to say it's either Drew Brees or Tony Romo that attends regularly, and people will go to that golf event just for that quarterback.
that's Tahoe. That's Tony Romo. That's one of the things that I kick myself that I never went to when I was stationed in California. Because from where I was stationed in California to Tahoe was like a 3 hour drive. I would go there almost every weekend to see the Reno Aces, AAA affiliate of the
Mm-hmm.
D-back because it was awesome to get autographs. But that's where the big time celebrities go and athletes. So Tony Romo, Justin Timberlake, Wayne Gretzky, Jerry Rice,
Mm-hmm.
just the who's who, pretty much all Hall of Famers playing that tournament.
Speaking
And Mark
speaking
Richter.
of Wayne, yeah, and speaking of Wayne Gretzky, that's a quote of his is a real good quote to live by when you're collecting autographs. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
there you go, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, and and if because this is like really specific to me, and I really haven't done any research outside of the Carolina Panthers. But if you can attend like NFL practices, that's a really good way to get autographs as well.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how many of the other NFL teams have like a open practice, so to where you can like not obviously go into the practice field, but there's like a path where you can stand because the Panthers, the players get dressed at the stadium and then they actually walk to the practice field. So there's like a certain, I don't know, maybe like a few hundred feet you can stand up against a fence and the players just walk right by you. Some of them are obviously getting carted on a golf cart to and from, but the one that walked by, you have that opportunity to get
Yeah.
an NFL player.
Uh, we have the Arizona Cardinals here, but how they do their spring or training camp is they do it inside of the dome that they play in. So I know back in the day in Tempe, Arizona, when they played at Arizona State University, that they had a practice bubble, but now that they have their training camp inside the dome, I'm assuming that's where they would practice, and I don't think that they would open that up for practice to fans, just because of all the staff that they employ just for training camp. Like, they're not going to open up the stadium without metal detectors, security guards, things like
Yep.
that. Or else some psycho can just run around. I think it's called State Farm Stadium or something. I don't know. They keep changing the name of it. But yeah, I don't think their practice is open to the general public. So, I mean, I think you're probably pretty lucky in that regard.
Yeah, it definitely, because I mean, there's no other time in the world where I would be able to get like Luke Kuechly or Greg Olson or anything like that. And I've read it, and I don't know exactly how true it is, but when the stadium was built, actually built in like 92 or 93, because I think 94 was the actual first season. But it's supposedly that Jerry Richardson, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, said that he wanted it set up that way. He wanted it set up to be one of, if not the only, fan friendly stadiums or whatever.
Hmm.
And with training camp that they do in South Carolina, they do it. The Panthers do theirs at Wofford College, and you can just go right now and YouTube it or Google it. When you look at the walkway and where the fence, like the little, because it's just like a little security gate, so you can like pick up and move around. The
Yeah.
people standing behind those, I mean, it's just like, I mean, ants on sugar. There's like people like 5 rows back, sticking their arm over like 4 rows of people trying to get that picture out there or anything like that. But during the season, they, I think it's, they have like film day on Monday. Tuesday is a mandatory day off for the NFL because of the whole Players Association and everything. And they do like walkthrough practices on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And Thursdays is a during the. I mean, you're talking about they start walking up at 10:30 and practice starts at 11. 10:30 on a Thursday morning. Everybody's at work and
Yeah.
kids are at daycare and everything else. So if you get there, I usually get there like 9:30 just for some ungodly reason in case there's a bunch of people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they'll start walking up like 10:15, 10:20, and people won't get there till like 10:45. So there's just even like three other people there for a few minutes, and you've got like Luke Kuechly walking by, Greg Olson walking by, Christian McCaffrey walking by, and then um, they practice. The practice starts at 11, and they might practice for an hour. They might practice for 3 hours, and then usually while they're in the practice, that's when a lot of people start showing up, and then they try to get them after the practice when they're walking away.
Yeah.
And it's just very fortunate, to and still even then going back to the whole time thing, the Panther Stadium's an hour and 50 minutes from me.
Okay.
Yeah, and even still though, it's very fortunate to have that here because like I've said 1,000 times, we just don't have a lot of actual signing events in North Carolina. So trying to get started as a collector in North Carolina, it's not easy. You definitely got to do your research and know what websites to look at, and
Yeah.
kind of got to already have like your bearings together in a direction you want to go before you get started because it's. I mean, you can't rely on in-person signings here in North Carolina. You just can't.
Yeah, no, no. I know. Well, North Carolina, it's a hotbed for NASCAR. One of the things that maybe folks in North Carolina that are fan of NASCAR, a lot of drivers used to have fan clubs. I don't know if they still do anymore, but you could actually write the fan clubs and get autographs through the mail that way if you don't have the, say the address of Martin Truex Jr. or Ryan Blaney. Like you could just write their fan clubs, or you could join their fan club. Back in the day, I was in a couple fan clubs of drivers, and you would get all kinds of free swag in the mail and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt they do it that much now with all the freebies, but that's another way to try and get autographs. Or no, I think that might be it. Might be all the ways. I think we covered it.
Yeah, and the only other one I can think of, and it's gotta, I mean, it's gonna be like very specific and few far between. If like a player retired or even like now has like their own restaurant or like
Yeah,
their
that
own business
is
or
a good
something like that. But and I can tell you right now that if you send something to Michael Jordan Nissan, that's a waste of time.
one. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Billy Sims, the old running back, Heisman Trophy winner, he has a place down in what is it, Oklahoma or Texas that he'll sign through there. Uh, there's actually a ton of athletes that have restaurants or different businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've looked, like Twitter is amazing. I wish I would have joined it earlier. You can actually look for the athlete on Twitter and try and. There's some guys that if I see that they're active on Twitter, the players, I'll just send them a message. Like a lot of times you can't DM them; their DMs aren't.
Hmm.
But you can put it out
Yeah.
in the public and be like, "Hey, at so and so, do you sign through the mail?" And there's been a lot of dudes that have replied that they do, and I'm like, "Is it okay if I send you something in the mail?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead," and I'll send it to them. I don't ask them for their address. Uh,
Hmm.
I already have your address, or else I would ask. But yeah, and that's a good way to get autographs too. So I mean, that might help us in your quest to get Archie Manning, because one of my favorite baseball players when I was growing up, Mo Vaughn, former Red Sox and Met, he owns like a trucking company. So I got the address of that. I gotta find it and send it to him. And oddly enough, I'm pretty sure it's called like Mo Vaughn Trucking or something. So
It would be something very blatantly
yeah,
obvious like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to try doing that. I need to get back into the TTM. I keep saying that I'm going to, because I mean, with this lockdown, it's my wallet's taking a beating because I'm buying a lot of autographs on Twitter and
Yeah,
Facebook.
I yeah, because with this whole coronavirus thing, too, my hours have gotten cut, and I've spent so much of my time reaching out to people for the interviews for the Graph Talk segments,
Uh-huh.
and and we were talking about it a little bit last night, the Twitter aspect of it, and the Facebook page is at like 617 likes right now, which is just absolutely
Yeah,
mind blowing to
you've destroyed my Facebook page.
me.
Nowhere near that.
and I really, I mean, the Graph Talk segments are good, and I've always got to be on top of those. But I really want to start hitting the Twitter game hard. Like you were just saying, and with all this free time, there's no reason why I can't be hitting Twitter hard and sending
Yeah,
out
there's a lot of athletes
PMs as well.
uh, that were usually pretty quiet on Twitter that are a lot more active now. So hopefully that carries on throughout the season. I mean, you're not going to be able to watch Pete Alonso play MLB, the 2K, the show or whatever it's called during the season because he'll be playing the actual game. But uh, yeah, Twitter. I mean, it's a good way to interact with the players, and you know that it's, well, most of the time you know that it's actually the player instead of like say on Facebook where
Yeah,
you
there's no
have a
guarantee.
not verified account, you know. But
Yeah, because I've gotten a couple of replies back on Facebook messages, and I found that it's all the ones I've gotten back anyway have been from musicians where it's like, hey, we'll pass this request on to him, or hey, he can't do that right now, or something like that. And it seems to be mostly or in my experience, all like musicians or like bands, I guess, that
yeah,
are like that. And
well, I mean, they got plenty of free time now because they can't be on the road.
yeah,
So
gigs are getting canceled actually.
yeah,
Um,
no gatherings over 10 people, and you can't really social distance on a tour bus.
no, and there's if you go to a concert, there's probably going to be more than 10 people there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, some of the bands I listen to, they're not very popular.
Yeah, I was listening to one earlier. I went to their Facebook page. I think they've got like 6,000 likes, and I'm like,
Uh,
damn, I'm halfway there.
yeah, right. Yeah, they've probably been around a lot longer too.
Yeah, a lot longer. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for episode one. Justin Shafer, Charm City Autographs, and
Yeah,
obviously me with Chase and the Graph. If anybody has any questions or if they want to see some kind of content or see some different content or they have a topic they want us to cover, feel free to message him on Facebook or message me or reach out to us somehow, and we'll definitely do what we can to respond to those and get those on the topic list.
yeah. I'm usually pretty active on my social media. I have FOMO, fear of missing out, so I'm always on there, either Twitter or Facebook. So yeah, if there's a topic that you want to hear about or anything sports related, I think we can speak to it pretty well. Especially baseball. That's my wheelhouse. So
Yeah, yeah, baseball and football for me. I don't. I do college basketball a lot, but I mean, I don't think that it's really even possible for you. I mean, I'm sure it is for like the lower name schools, but I don't think you can send to like Duke or North Carolina and have a player sign something and send it back.
yeah, I don't know how that would go with the players, but a lot of colleges, back to the TTM thing, a lot of former players are coaches. So if anybody, I mean, people are probably watching a lot of ESPN right now, so they're showing 30 for 30s. I hate
Mm-hmm.
Christian Leitner, Bobby Hurley, his old running mate. He's been the coach at Arizona State University for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yep.
Bobby Hurley. So I mean, you can right through there. That's another way I've gotten autographs is writing to the actual college.
Yeah,
But
Wes Miller, he was on Carolina's '05 championship team, and he's the head coach at University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and I've gotten his autograph that way.
yeah, and how many basketball coaches are there where you could have like five coaches just on one team that used to play in the league that probably have cards. So not to get off
Yep.
topic, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's gonna do it for episode one. We've got quite a few more episodes lined up, and like I said, if you guys have any questions or if you just want to see some kind of content or a topic covered, just let us know.